Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anti-Life Reviews. This is issue number 74, and I am the Tonamakaya Master of Minds. And men, after the disappointing Rick and Morty Go to Hell, I decided to plumb the depths of my comic knowledge here and find something a little more compelling, interesting, and inclusive. I will be talking about Rogan Gosh, a title that was originally published in 1990 under the Revolver magazine brand before being republished by Vertigo in 1994. I'll be treating this as a singular comic, not broken into issues, so it'll be more similar to my movie reviews in some kind of ways, as I'll break down the plot of the whole thing and then give my points and opinions. Let's go ahead and get into that. I'm kind of interested to talk about this one. Before we begin, if you want more content like this or any other comics, subscribe to me. Hit me up here on Instagram and Demon Peaks on my Patreon and tell me what you'd like me to review. I love suggestions, but go ahead and subscribe now, and we'll get to the rest of that later. One and only issue here, so this comic is less of a narrative and more of an experience, but I'll give you the very broad strokes, as it's heavy with Hindu mythology, of which I know woefully little, and any research I did didn't really help crack open that giant ball there, as I have little reference points save some Buddhist and Taoist mythology that I know, and besides being Asian generally hold very little similarities with the Hindu mythology. So I did try to look up a lot of the things going on here and help my understanding, but it doesn't really affect the plot that much. That was just for me. There are 5 central characters: a writer, a waiter and a man, a boy, a scholar, and Rogan Gosh. Rogan Gosh is kind of a transcendent spirit, a being who keeps the evils of the end of the world at bay. He fights the mythological fights. He keeps Kali away from destroying the world, but he is weak and old, it seems. The scholar uses opium to watch Rogan Gosh and the events that transpire between the waiter, the man, and Rogan Gosh. The waiter and the man are attacked by Kali, and the waiter becomes the new avatar for Rogan Gosh. They then go on a series of adventures, it seems, seeing themselves as different concepts, reincarnations, reimagined. They meld and become one. They fall in love, and the man learns how to overcome his own negativities. They find that the Dharma has strength. In the end, for them, the waiter stays as Rogan while the man comes to terms with his new life, sexuality, independence, and freedom. The boy, meanwhile, is overcoming a lot, including the death of his mother and the questioning of his own self and sexuality. He says, "I think my heart lived in a padded cell. Maybe I was scared. Maybe I was just mediocre." He reads Rogan Gosh and he becomes a little more understanding of who he is and accepting of where he wants to be in life. The scholar, it ends in ruins for him. The opium house he visits burned down, and he walks away into an uncertain future. But that's the comic in a nutshell. It's an absolute shit ton more going on visually, but I can't really express that in words. The colors are vibrant, amazing. The panels leap off the page. They blitz you with information. I read it with just looking at the visuals first, and then read it with the text. And I got borderline a better experience just admiring and taking in what it was telling me visually. It did have a lot of visual storytelling. That's probably one of the biggest draws of it, to be honest. I think the other being, I would say, is it's a very LGBT friendly book. Encourage people to find their own sexuality, to accept themselves, the world around them, and how they feel about people. Lots of comics now are going heavy on that concept as a corporate branding, and I find it tacky and offensive when stories like this come across as sincere, honest, and helpful. It's not pandering. It's talking openly and honestly about the trials and tribulations of being a member of some of those groups. It is a naturally told story. And I think I would rather a book like this be published in the comics community than a lot of the absolute horribly written trash we see that is pandering and corporate interest. Peter Milligan has written a number of outstandingly written gay characters, and I think he really did well here. Though a little confusing in plot, I think the message comes across pretty well. He lacked that in Enigma, which I did review, which came off as rather offensive to me, and the way he handled the love expressed by the main characters and how it was built on lies and manipulation. Here felt a lot more organic and beautiful in its own way, though I think there's a parallel to them, as I believe this came first as sort of a proto-Enigma. But that seemed he was in a lot darker place, it seemed, when he wrote Enigma. It's not without its faults, though. As I said, it's confusing. It's a bit of a mess. I can't imagine trying to read this short book. It's less than 60 pages over the course of 6 monthly installments as it was originally published. You have to be mad. You never know what was going on. Hell, I read it and I barely know what's going on. I may have totally gotten the story incorrect, but that's what I read, and I think any interpretation within reason are still all right. This could have been a little more exposition to help the reader, but it wasn't that kind of story. And overall, I'd say it succeeded in what it was trying to accomplish. I know some of it is based on Peter's time in India. I don't know if he went there with Grant Morrison or not, but Grant recounts his his transformative time there in his quite good book, Super Gods, not to be confused with the Warren Ellis comic of the same name. But yeah, if you're looking for a psychedelic LGBT comic to kill, half an hour, 15 minutes, maybe even less, this one is for you. If not, then I'd probably skip it. Yeah, that was a short one, but coming off the back of Annihilation, I was giving myself some easy time this month, but no less exciting or important. So what do you think of my review of Rogan Gosh? Do you like the kind of a James Joyce style writing where you're not entirely sure what's going on? Or do you like a solid narrative? Let me know down below, and of course, go to my Patreon or my Instagram at Demon Peaks. Tell me what you want me to review, and also check out my daily Twin Peaks memes. Hell, even put it in the comments, subscribe, and go to my podcast, Dark Peaks Podcast, and listen to me talk about crack rock. Next week, a Marvel graphic novel in Emperor Doom. This has been the Tony Makaya, Master of Minds and Men. Thank you very much, and goodbye.